Hi, my name is Dr. Kim Monteaux de Freitas. In this session, we'll be talking about promoting equity in higher education. This module introduces equity and equality and encourages you to reflect on your experiences. In this session, our learning outcomes are the following. First, you'll be able to define equity. You'll know the difference between equity and equality. And you'll be able to reflect on what equity means for different student population and higher education contexts. If you completed the session prior to this lesson, you'll remember how they discuss the concepts of social identity, dominant and minoritized identities, and privilege. Today, we're going to continue this conversation by talking about equity. While equity can sometimes be used to talk about business and finance, we'll be using the term in relation to our different social identities. Before we start our conversation, I want to acknowledge that this is a difficult topic. During our time together, I'll provide an overview of what equity is, make time for personal reflection, and share some resources to continue your reflection, discovery, or conversation. I've offered my goals for this session, but I always think it's important for learners to think about what they hope to gain from a lesson. Take a minute to think about what brings you here today. Perhaps you have been participating in the whole series from The Ohio State University, or you are just looking for more tools for your toolkit on equity in higher education. No matter what the reason, I am happy you are learning with me today. Now, continue on that path of self-reflection. What is equity? Take a minute and write down some notes for yourself. While many people have different definitions of equity, for the sake of our time together today, I will be sharing the following definition. This definition begins to clarify what we mean by equity, but you still might have questions. After all, determining what is fair, impartial, or just can be subjective. Our social identities, power, and privilege can further complicate how we understand these terms. Therefore, when we talk about equity, it's important to note the contested meanings of this term and explain how it's often used by student affairs professionals. When we talk about equity and student affairs, these conversations are rooted in a shared understanding of social justice. Social justice implies full and equal participation of all groups in a society that is mutually shaped to meet their needs. The second part of this definition, a society that is mutually shaped by all to meet their needs, is especially helpful for our understanding of equity. In a community that values social justice, each person is empowered to determine what fairness or justice means for them despite our relative differences. A few slides ago, when I asked about your current understanding of equity, maybe the words equal or equality came to mind. Equity and equality are similar concepts, but there are some notable differences. Remember that equity is concerned with issues of fairness. Equality implies that all people be treated the same. It's a subtle but important difference. So here's an example to illustrate what I mean. For years, I have participated and/or facilitated an activity with my students and colleagues to assist in learning about the difference between equity and equality. I'd like to do this activity with you now. Imagine being in a classroom with 10 other individuals. I would then ask for everyone to take off one shoe and place in a pile in the middle of the room. Once everyone is done and the shoes are all piled up, I will then redistribute them to the participants. One shoe back to each participant randomly. Imagine the shoe that you now have. Is it a sneaker? A dress shoe? Loafer? Pump? Slide? Perhaps a rain boot? Now, with that shoe that you have, please put it on. I would ask not just you, but everyone to put on the shoe that they have been given. What do you think happens next? Inevitably, there is puzzle, confusion, and maybe some laughter. It would be likely that we would hear, "This is too big. This doesn't fit. I need a right shoe, and this is a left shoe." As you can imagine, as the comments are made, there will be laughter and maybe one or a few participants that can slip on the shoes. Talking to everyone with their mismatched pair of shoes, I would now confirm that everyone has 2 shoes and should be good for the rest of the day. How would you feel about that? It is likely you, like many others, would complain. You might be concerned about your mismatched pair of shoes, maybe the style or the fit. But I'd remind you all have 2 shoes, one for each foot, and that 2 shoes for each one of you is treating everyone the same. You might remind me your shoes don't match and or fit. Do you want the shoes that are best for you, best for the individuals in the room, or do you want any shoe? My guess would be, like the many times before that I have participated and or facilitated, you would say, yes, I'd like my shoe back. By now, there is typically a student that is catching on to the difference between equality and equity. Equality meaning everyone gets the same, i.e. has 2 shoes. Equity meaning everyone gets what they need, i.e. the shoe that fits. The shoe activity provides participants the opportunity to share their perspectives and experience. It is a low-risk activity. But the reality is that in higher education, we all too often treat students the same and assume they have the resources they need to succeed. Now that we've talked about students' different social identities, along with issues of power and privilege, it makes sense that we, as student affairs professionals, must think about the services in terms of equity instead of only focusing on treating all students the same. Let's think about what equity might mean for different student populations. Access to public computers and the free internet is not the same on all campuses. What would you do? Consider resources needed to make computer and internet accessible. Consider making computer labs have longer hours at the campus locations where computers are more limited. A meeting has been planned that is mandatory for all organizational treasurers. 2 students show up that are hard of hearing. What would you do? Make sure appropriate sound is available? Confirm the mics are working and ask that all that speak use a microphone? How can you ensure all students will have access to reading assignments? What would you do? Work with campus library? Post some readings online. These are just 3 examples of how we can be more intentional thinking about promoting equity in higher education. Equality may represent sameness, but equity represents fairness. Equity ensures a level playing field for students from all backgrounds and abilities, providing them with the best opportunity for success. As individuals interested in higher education, we have to recognize that not all students start from the same place in life. Revisiting concepts from the previous module, some people's identities provide them with unearned privileges. Conversely, some people may face additional barriers because of who they are and how they grew up. Understanding equity helps us as educators and learners understand and acknowledge the fact that not all students are the same. They start from unequal parts in life, but because our profession is committed to the holistic development of all students, working to promote equity on campus means that every student has a chance to learn and grow, no matter who they are or what challenges they face. Equity ensures that each student has access to what they need to be successful in college. To recap the main points of this session, equality meaning everyone gets the same, i.e. has 2 shoes. Equity meaning everyone gets what they need, the shoe that fits. What are some programs or resources at your institution designed to fit the needs of students? The more you think about it, I'm sure you'll come up with many examples. Food that meets dietary or religious needs, software that makes websites and technologies accessible, restrooms that align with different genders. You may even think of actions, programs, or resources that could make your institution more equitable. If interested in continuing the conversation and exploring equity, the following are some great resources. Additionally, please feel free to reach out and I can help you identify more resources based on your specific interests. Our commitment to equity is essential for student success. Thank you for joining. Be sure to look over the additional resources provided.